Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of The More You Know. I'm your host Gary Moore, and with me today,
Tony Jr., the first gentleman.
and we are going to talk about
Star Trek Beyond.
Star Trek Beyond. As you can see, I set up my little display of, and that's not all of the Star Trek I have.
Yeah, I thought I saw you had Star Trek '09 and Star Trek Into Darkness. I thought you would bring them, but we didn't. But that's okay.
Well,
I'll put in a picture or something.
They're not going to stand up on me.
Yeah, that too. That's one reason I didn't grab one. Yeah, that's okay. I'll probably put in a picture and that.
Yeah. I've got all of Next Gen, all three seasons of the original series, the animated series, all the movies. I am a Trek person.
No, Trekkie,
whatever they are.
No, we're not Trekkies. We're Trekkers. We're not nerds and geeks. We're fanboys. There's a difference.
There's a big difference.
Yeah. We saw the new Star Trek movie. I saw it once. He saw it twice. I might want to go see it again, but you know.
I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic movie.
It was great. I didn't love it to death, like God, but it was good. It was definitely good. Definitely worth checking out.
It was worth the wait.
Yeah, this Trek was
closer.
The original Trek had the voyage home. They always call the fourth movie, the voyage home, the most heartwarming of the Treks. Yeah. This was probably their voyage home most heartwarming Trek.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of leaned it towards more of a Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, in that it was an action set piece in the middle of a 2-hour movie. Right. You know, and that's, to me, what made that movie super. They took basically an hour-long story and they turned it into a movie.
I read one review called it episodic. It was very episodic because one thing that they've done with the new Treks, which is very impressive, is they still kept the essence of the 60s TV series, the retro televionic or televisic aspects. They kept that in there. It's something that worked very well. It kept it worked.
Spell it for me.
I know. I wonder if that's a word. I got now to look it up.
Just picking.
Yeah. No, I'm going to look it up. I use a word. Etymology is very important to me. I use words. I like to look them up, and I don't know many things, but I know what I'm talking about. So
yeah. Well, I enjoy the movies.
Yeah, good movies. That's
I'm supposed to be at work.
I might want to post this video a little later.
Yeah.
If he was wearing a blue shirt, I saw him wearing a blue shirt.
I'm wearing a blue shirt and a tie.
Yeah, no, he's
normally I'm in.
Now he's decked out, and I'm not. But the reverse of the fortune.
It doesn't. I really. The reason why I wear this is I get more responses. And
the same here. Okay, let's see. Where should we start?
Let's start at the beginning. How's that?
Okay.
I could go on about the 20 minutes of the destruction of the Enterprise.
Yes, that was
Holy
cool.
crap.
No, they killed my car. That's my shit.
I was disappointed to see it go.
Yeah.
But let's face it, if you saw the trailer,
yes,
you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
It's for me. It's an expression that I have trouble with. A good death.
Yeah.
Death is bad, but it's a good death.
Yeah, but I mean, that thing went on.
It went out. Yeah, it went out. It wasn't over in a minute. Now, not to get too much away, what was very impressive. Hey, these things, the bees, they call them the bees.
Yeah.
The swarm, they break the cells off. But Scotty gets the impulse and they're still going. Hey, now that's impressive.
Yeah,
this thing's still going. It's still going.
It was the cast brought their A game again.
Yeah, they're family. They're family now.
You can really tell that they meshed together really well.
Yeah.
The bad guy, Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Was.
Yeah.
He's always
good. Yeah.
He's always good, but he really did bring it.
Yeah, he's bad. He's bad. He's bad. That's it. He's good.
Yeah.
Good actor.
But you could tell that at one point in his contract, he said, "I want to wear the captain's shirt. I want to wear an engine. I want to wear one of the Star Trek shirts," and that's why he wears that towards the end.
Yeah, I was reading something. Yeah, very very good one. I was reading Entertainment Weekly. Just glanced at it, and they talk about Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
And Dennis Dunn, who played Wang Chi, he said that they were supposed to be all ninja costumes, but he said it sounded a little ridiculous. He said I had an army uniform or something. He said, and John Carpenter said, "Wear that." So they did that, and yeah, that always did look cool, and it was very fitting for him, you know.
That when he. Well, to give away some
spoilers. To give too much.
Be careful. From this point on, there will be spoilers.
We only not too many. I don't need too many spoilers, but
every now and again you have to.
Yeah.
When he at the end of the movie, when he dons
the captain's
uniform, I was kind of like, he had to have it somewhere in his contract.
Yeah,
he had to have it.
No, here's one for you. He couldn't wear a red shirt because then we know what's gonna happen. Are you wearing a red shirt? Yeah.
I liked the movie. It was a fantastic ride. That space station, Yorktown space station.
My goodness.
That was awesome.
Yeah, my goodness. It looked like it's like a halo. I mean, I always remember how Search for Spock, Space Dog, that was so impressive.
Yeah.
Now the Yorktown man looked ridiculous.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's Elysium.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm buying a house here, moving in, and set up a nice little place.
I really like how he rode the gravitational wave back to where he was. There was so many points that I was like, I'm having so much fun with this movie. I can't criticize it too much.
Yeah, but the movie played very well. Okay, one thing about the movie that was very good, Jayla.
Jayla, yeah, she was awesome.
Now, big surprise. She spends more time with Scotty than Kirk. Go figure, Simon Pegg. She spends more time with Scotty than Kirk, and naturally, they have a good relationship, and it's very well played. This and that. She's a beautiful alien, but no, she.
Well, I was reading the trivia for J-Law is that they wanted to do a J-Law, Jennifer Lawrence, like Hunger Games tribute. I wanted her character to be just like that in the movie.
Yeah, so.
And they even went so far as calling her J-Law. And when they read the script, it was J and Law. And then they were like, well, we call her J-Law.
Yeah, because she's very real.
Yeah.
Jay, no matter what, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, J-Law, she's real. She's honest.
Yeah, she kicks some butt.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, very cool. Not boy crazy. Not stupid. Harpy doesn't lose her shirt.
No.
Very cool character. Female character.
Very, very cool character. I really liked her. I hope to see her again.
Yeah.
I kind of hope they don't do the Alice and the Eve approach.
Yeah. What did happen to Carol Marcus? I'm like, what happened? They did that. I was kind of expecting to see her again because the Spock and Uhura relationship is still played upon. Here, I was hoping we'd see more of the Carol Marcus and Captain Kirk relationship, but apparently not. Or she's already pregnant with David, and she's already left, following the original tangent. That's an idea. So
that's certainly where you can go with it. I mean, they didn't really mention David until.
Yeah, they didn't mention until the Wrath of Khan movie. Yeah. But even then, that relationship, it would be interesting to see more of that. Instead, they just didn't do it, and that's kind of a buzzkill. I mean, put it in there, or mention it. Even in some James Bond movies, like when so and so this and this happened, they mention it. They don't go into details or specifics, but they mention it, and that in some cases that's not exactly closure. Well, maybe it is closure, but it works. Right. Just enough to handle that. Like the Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which I liked. Like, where was Ving Rhames' character in this movie, and where was Tom Cruise's wife from the previous movie? Yeah. They put that in right at the end. That's it. To answer that question, if you ever saw it, you never saw Ghost Protocol? No. Ving Rhames' character, he's been in all the movies. And he got married, and Tom Cruise and Ethan Hunt got married. Right. And that movie, in the fourth movie, they're not there. But at the end of the movie, they show up. Oh, so they answer that question, and On to the next thing. Now let's see. I saw a little bit of Return of the Jedi in there, running around a big forest with big trees. That's kind of a Return of the Jediism for me.
Yeah.
One more forest of trees, and the big attack on the bunker. It's not Return of the Jedi, but for me, I felt echoes of that. And
Yeah.
I felt echoes of the search for Spock, because even going to Yorktown, like Space Dock,
Yeah.
they're sort of searching for Spock among all the chaos. And certain things kind of echo that. But even then, Simon Pegg, I think Doug Jones, they did a great job with the screenplay, great story. Simon Pegg, I mean, he's a Trekker himself. He wrote this.
And you could tell he had his influence.
Yeah. If they do another one, I say you should step up. I mean, sometimes if you write the last one and you did a good job, it's time for the next one. You're up, slugger. You know.
Well, I had read that he quit Star Trek, and he quit writing it. That's why somebody else came in. The polish of the script was because he was being told to do this, do that, and he was like, I can't write if I have all these stipulations.
Oh yeah. Trying to write, just take off the handcuffs.
Right.
Like Godfather. But everything else, the relationship between Spock and Uhura was done just right, and this and that. And like they once again, it's another step in the relationship, because naturally, I suppose you could say spoiler alert on this, but it still makes for an effective spoiler. Is that Spock on this tangent? Spock is still considering should he stay or should he go?
Right.
Does he want to still be on the Enterprise, where he belongs more than anything else? He wants to be on the Enterprise, but he still wants to help rebuild his people, which is part of responsibility. Then, okay, so what if he and Uhura had children? They'd be half Vulcan again, and it'd be Spock Part 2, literally.
Yeah.
Or better yet, Tuvok.
It would be
Tuvok. Yeah. But
he'd have to.
he'd have to. I know. That's when.
I just thought about it.
When Spock and Uhura get together in the first 09 movie, it was like, oh yeah. But if they had kids, they'd be half Vulcan. They'd have to relationships and this and that of being a half Vulcan. So
was Tuvok half human too?
No, he was all Vulcan, but
so.
He was all Vulcan. But even then, he still have to deal with that duality and this and that, and naturally. I say Spock, I'm a member of an endangered species. If I was to sire Vulcan children, I'd want them to be all Vulcan and help rebuild our people.
Right.
Because that tends to happen, with culture and this and that. It's called genetics. So that's. But I say that's that word. It's a word, but it's a good word. It's an understandable word. Genetics. If you're in a relationship, this happens. That tends to happen.
See, I liked the motion picture. It was a product of its time.
Definitely.
Because of 2001 had just come out, and it was very moody.
Yeah.
Let's face it, it was a product of its time.
Yeah.
But it was a good science fiction story.
Right.
That's why I like it. It's because it was like when it is revealed that Beecher is what it is, and all that, it was like this genius.
Robert Wise was one of the great directors in film. He was the cinematographer on Citizen Kane. Right. He worked on Citizen Kane, or he was the cinematographer or editor, I can't recall, but he worked on Citizen Kane. He directed The Sound of Music, which won the Oscar Best Picture, Best Director for him, and he did West Side Story. And the original, The Day the Earth Stood, from 1951. Mm-hmm. He was a great. Even when he did science fiction, he treated it with respect and with seriousness. And then he did the same thing with Star Trek. The first Star Trek was not kinetic, because after the wake of Star Wars, even then they said when they did Wrath of Khan, they had to be more kinetic. Right. Even when the Enterprise jumps to warp speed, they admitted they call a snap whoosh. Yeah. Which is what we're seeing now, much like the Millennium Falcon, that snap whoosh to light speed. Right. But Robert Wise was right to approach the project with the right tone. And even then, Star Trek, they still keep it here. Even then, Star Trek has always played seriously and honestly, and even Bryan Singer, when you do a movie like this, you have to take it as seriously as possible, no matter how cartoonish it may be. take it seriously, it's going to work. Because if you don't, it's going to suck. The only thing worse than a bad sci-fi movie is when it's crappy and campy. Campy doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
No.
You can crack a joke, but you can't be silly and ridiculous and stupid. And even then, if you're smart enough, you call it out. That's self-deprecation. Right. You call yourself out and you call out the obvious, then it works.
Yeah.
The motion picture, like I said, it's definitely a product of its time. And now with Star Trek Beyond, it's kind of more of our time, which is refreshing. If we have another, I don't know how long more of Star Trek, whatever, are we going to see more of what we've got? Will it affect the times? Because one, I don't give too much away. The villain, Krall, like I said, I think is very clever in. This not to call it a spoiler, but very clever, very thematic. Kirk says he got lost.
Yeah.
He got lost. That was not hubris. Not I'm going to take over the world or this. He got lost. That's the problem.
And that's exactly what his. I wish they had kind of like done more with his character throughout the movie. Like, we got most of his backstory in the last, 10 minutes or so.
Very good plot twist.
It was awesome little, it wasn't an alien. It was
but.
And, I mean, I wish they had kind of spread that out a little further. Like, instead of the last 10 minutes or the last 5 minutes, spread it out to about 15, 20-minute mark and kind of play with it a little more. Get a little more backstory of why he went crazy and why he spent so long lost. And how he, and I think it was kind of brushed over on how he survived for as long as he did. They didn't explain all. They didn't explain all that. Well, one thing about that is there's a very hilarious YouTube video of Megatron missing Shia LaBeouf. If you ever saw that one, there's a hysterical YouTube video. Optimus Prime and Megatron, and Megatron says, "Optimus, what? Don't laugh. What is it? Don't laugh. What is it? Do you miss Shia? Well, kinda. Well, every time I just don't like the way the direction new movies are going." Optimus says, "Well, Megatron, it's because you keep dying, and we have to spend so much time bringing you back. And when you do, you don't really have time to expand. You just smash stuff." Which is, I was in stitches because yes, that's in the time it takes you to bring the villain in, introduce him, set him up, do this and that. How much time has passed? Yeah, that can be a problem. But I mean, they could have just played with it a little longer. And that's all I'm saying.
Well, I think DVD, your wish might be granted, and you might see
enough,
more.
But I mean, you can't really judge by what the DVD does. I mean, Batman vs Superman is it's not really a better movie because it has 30 extra minutes. I just bought the Ultimate Edition myself. Oh, you got it? Yes.
I bought it myself. I got the 3D cut. I got that big 3D. I went to, should I buy it? And then it was sold out. But they got some more and I bought one. Well, Batman vs Superman, when it got those 30 additional minutes, that was some pretty good added stuff. Normally, they cut it out and the movie went along. That was some pretty interesting stuff they cut out. I understand 3-hour movie, that's very tricky, but that was some good stuff they cut out.
Yeah, but like Gina Malone's character.
That wasn't entirely that. Yeah, but a lot of stuff in there really expand on the story. Some people would still say it didn't matter if they put 3 hours, it was better. A lot of that stuff was good. A lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean it fleshed out a few things, but like some things are still questioning. Like what was Lex Luthor's original plan was because he hated Superman. Okay. I get that. But why? Did he lose somebody in the middle of the battle of Metropolis?
That could be expounded upon, and this and that, and even then his own attitudes on it. Even then, like going back to, if you remember the TV series Smallville,
right?
And Lex Luthor, he's a boy, and he was caught in the shockwave when Kal-El first comes to Earth. That was a very clever little story, how they're connected and so forth. But even then, like you said, it'd be nice to put in more time for the villain and explain certain things.
Yeah.
But sometimes it will be interesting to put that stuff in, even if the movie's a little bit longer, even if some people have to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
2003, I went and saw Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. The movie was amazing. It was 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I eventually saw the director's cut. I can't believe they cut out Christopher Lee like that for all that. And the movie was over about 4 hours. I understand. I had to admit, I almost died in the bathroom. I made it. Lucky me, but yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just, there's some things that I wish were just expended on.
Yeah.
Just, like if there was a comic book that explained Crawl and his transformation, I'd probably be more inclined to be like, oh, okay.
I figured they might be. I've read it because with increasing media, it's easier now.
Yeah,
I remember Independence Day, the original. The Independence Day. I still have that comic book, and that comic book showed a lot of things that weren't in the movie that should have been in there. Like when Russell Case was captured by aliens, they covered that. They covered like a sequence with Will Smith's character Stephen Hill when he was a boy and how he wanted to grow up and be a great pilot. They covered this was the comic book. And this was a lot of things that they
Part two.
Yeah,
will you return for a part two? Well, we're gonna kill your ass.
$50 million to sign him, so I think they had to make. And he was working on Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
$50 million, and I agree. That was one of the biggest mistakes of not bringing him back, but it did help play into the story. I kind of liked the Independence Day sequel. I thought it had a sense of humor of the original.
See, I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it, but I just haven't had time.
I kind of liked the storyline. 20 years later, something's changed, something's never changed, this and that. Will Smith, Stephen Hiller, his son's grown up, and his son is considered like a royal. He's considered a royalty in a certain extent because he is the son of the great hero.
Okay.
And this and that. A lot of Independence Day. I will admit one thing that had me laughing was the aliens show up. They wreck the cities. We come across a group of characters, a bunch of kids in a station wagon, like National Lampoon's Vacation. They're little kids. And the daughter, this girl, she's like 13. She's driving the car through a half-flooded city. The city's been wrecked. It's flooded. They're driving a station wagon out of town. Naturally, you don't even have a license. You think anyone's going to stop us? I felt Independence Day was a better than average B movie, and the sequel kind of descended into a B movie. But even then, like I say, sense of humor, a sense of reality to it, that's what makes it work.
Right.
And even Star Trek had that. One thing, something they could have they play on, they could have expanded on it was like 3 years into the 5-year mission, the halfway point.
Yeah.
The crew's getting restless.
Yeah.
Horny. Chekhov. Who's that girl that Chekhov was with? This and that, so and so. Everyone's flying around, you're getting lonely. You're stuck with somebody. I suppose you don't even need the alcohol. People get prettier you've been stuck with them for a long time.
True.
Yeah. Poor Anton Yelchin.
Oh yeah.
And my condolences to the family. Hopefully this gets resolved. That was a very tragic accident. It's a car accident, and that I don't know all the details. I don't, but I know enough. And what happened right there, I mean, that's just
all I know is that he,
the car was messing up. He was trying to check the car, and look what happened. That could be anybody. Your car, if you think you got a flat tire, you're gonna get out and check. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that, and your engine's acting up. You're gonna open up the hood, get in front, and if something happens, you wouldn't entirely be expecting something like that. So
yeah.
But I think he did a great job, and once again, he's one of the crew there, and hopefully, how are they going to replace him or recast him or something? I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, on the animated series, they had a different alien for Chekhov because Walter Geegan didn't come back. So I mean, I wouldn't dwell on it too much. Just kind of do what they did with Spock. I think that sounds interesting. No spoiler on this one, but at the end of Star Trek Beyond, and then a very interesting thing that we will get to. I don't spoiler on this, but very interesting because when you see the end of the movie, interesting because they're all together. Mm-hmm.
that's not to give too much of a hint. They're all together.
Yeah. And I think it's the first time since the 15-minute mark they're all together. You know?
That too. Yeah. Now I'm reaching, but it still counts. Like the Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back. Luke and R2 this way. Han, Leia, 3PO, and Chewbacca go this way.
Yeah.
But at the end, they're all back together again. You know, and that's even in Star Trek they did that, and it fits, and like I said, family.
Yeah.
Family, friends, all that. They get back together again.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I say, hopefully, wreck the Enterprise, so we're already on the 1701A.
Well, yeah, I thought it was.
That's Captain McCart. Plenty of letters left in the alphabet because
it
was 1701, and its destruction was very much like Genesis. And 1701A.
Yeah.
And I think, much like Vin Diesel's Dodge Challenger, it seems to keep getting wrecked, but they seem to keep it's the same thing. So I take it they were able to go down there, pick it up, drag it back, and fix it.
Yeah.
Because they built. I don't think they built a new one. I think it's pretty much like they got the pieces and put it back together again.
The
time lapses. They put it back together again.
No, they put a whole new one together.
Because I think didn't they have to watch that time lapse? I think they brought the pieces and fixed it. Because it's all the pieces. It jacked up pieces, but you build new stuff around it. I think.
No, to me it looked like it was rebuilt. Because they were building it when they stopped and they said, "You sure you want to go back out there?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, definitely." And then it said,
the time is but I think they had the chassis, like the chassis.
But it may be something they've already gotten pre-made.
Yeah, I think they put all back together again because even then during the destruction, separate the saucer. Oh, the saucer can separate now. Oh, I didn't. The original could, the original could, but I think they got the old one and put it back together again. Mm-hmm. But like I said, you saw Skyfall.
Yeah.
But you didn't see Spectre.
No, I finally saw it.
You finally saw Spectre.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put it back together again.
Yeah.
Aston Martin. Yeah. So because they wrecked the last one, put it back together again. So
yeah, but that's just, to me, it looked like.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to check, go online, check the commentary track on that one, and DVD comes out and find out.
Oh, yeah. We're semantics now.
Yeah. For a minute, I thought you're not going to get the Excelsior. They're not there.
No.
I like the new. The JJ prize. Some people on the internet call it the JJ prize. I'd like to see what the Excelsior would look like.
Oh yeah.
The new Excelsior.
Yeah, we haven't really seen other ships aside from that one that Peter Weller was driving.
Yeah, the Vengeance.
The
Vengeance. Saw the Kelvin.
Yeah,
meant to be wrecked. The Kelvin, the other ships. But yeah, we've never seen others. But it will be interesting to see the alternate timeline Excelsior, and if we did, it would probably be the Vengeance because the Excelsior was bigger and faster than the Enterprise, so it'd be interesting to see what they did with that.
I always liked the design for the Excelsior.
Yeah.
Oh, I've always liked the designs of the ships, period.
Yeah. But I would like to see that. Oh, here's one. I just saw the new CBS new Star Trek Discovery. All those people on the internet who call that thing ugly and hate it, I'm with you. It looks like a Klingon battle cruiser.
With a saucer on the front of it.
It looks like a 1701 and a Klingon battle cruiser had a love child. That's an ugly baby. That shit.
I'm not there for the design of the ships in the long run. I'm there for the characters, and
I'm there for the characters too. But I'm sorry, we need something. Maybe they'll wreck it and they'll turn it into something better.
Something that looks more like the Enterprise.
Yeah, yeah. I know it's not, but I'm sorry. First impression, I wasn't taken with it. Hopefully, they'll do something with it, make it come out a lot better than that, because that I wasn't taken with it.
Like I said, it wasn't anything to write home about, but I'm looking forward to a new Star Wars TV show.
No, if you're gonna have the spaceship, space fighter, whatever you got, it's got to have a certain cool factor. In this case, you got to take yourself seriously, but you got to have a cool factor. You got to have a cool
factor. Did I ever
factor.
tell you about the time that Prince Spiner stopped and knew my whole name?
Who's that?
Data.
Red Spiner?
Yeah.
He knew your name?
He knew my name.
And how did he know your name?
I was working backstage at Comic-Con in Dallas, and he was walking by, and he stopped dead in his tracks and went, "You're Gary Moore." I was like, yeah. And he goes, "Amy Adams, Henry Cavill, they don't have time for Facebook." I was like, until this very second, I wasn't sure that was really you. I was like, yeah, that's me. I was like, wow. Facebook friends with Frank.
I was on. I did the radio in Alexandria years ago.
Yeah.
And and knowing song, I did the radio. When I went to work that day, over almost a dozen people called me out. They'd never seen it. How do you know it's me? He said, some dude, I don't know this dude, and he'd never seen one. He said, I heard you on the radio. I'm like, really? I know I didn't. I was impressed. The power. Who says radio is dead? The power of social media, the internet, technology. A lot of people recognize me. Nothing fancy. I haven't met any celebrities who knew my name, but it's amazing when you get recognized.
I mean, that rest of that show, he would stop me, and introduce me to the Jonathan Franks and Michael Dorn. You know, he was like, "Hey, this is my buddy Gary," and I'm like,
Yeah.
Jonathan Franks commented on my beard. He said, "Nice beard." I was like, "Thank
Yes.
you. So are yours."
Yeah. Riker beard.
The Riker beard.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the only resemblance to Riker I have.
If I grow a beard, it's got to come off. It's because beards. If I was working and I was needed, okay, I'll consider it. I performed on stage before, and beards don't work for me. You got to give me a fake beard or something, or let me grow out. And even then, goatees. I love goatees, but they take too much work.
Mm-hmm.
You got to shave it perfectly.
I've got news for you. This one right here is got to be trimmed and touched up.
And how much? Because I'll pay someone to do it. Because and if you want to look your best, you have to have it done every day, and that's going to cost a pretty penny. And you do it yourself, you slip, it's got to come off. So
you get used to doing that.
No, and even then, now thinking about the ladies. No, I know a guy beards, and I know ladies don't like it that much. They'll say what they say. I know a lot of ladies, they don't like it that much.
Mine likes it.
Well,
mine likes it.
Well, you're the lucky one, because
that's all I can say is that
he's the lucky one, because I know a lot of ladies. I know a guy. He has a giant beard and this and that. And those Duck Dynasty guys, their wives, they all say the same thing. Now, if you share it, their wives and girlfriends would kiss them to death because they know they miss it smooth, you know. But Star Trek, let's see, Star Trek Beyond, you had all that, and they very cleverly they hinted at the fourth movie.
Yeah.
Which that was not overboard, but they hinted at the fourth movie.
Yeah, but let's face it, with the franchise, they're going to, you know. That's their job is to. Even the first two, while you knew there was going to be more, I think that this one really hinted at what's going to happen next. Right.
Superhero movies are more on the nose about, but this one, that was a very good, I think, hint or allusion to what's going to happen next. So we'll see about that.
Yeah.
And how much time is that?
Oh, I had to stop.
Oh.
So we've been doing it to the camera.
Well, let's see. I think that's probably going to be all for this review right there.
All right.
And I say, More You Know Show, Tony Jr., the first gentleman.
You're
That's
more.
my name, I says. Unless a certain guy becomes president, at which point, does that make him the first gentleman? No, I'm the first gentleman. I'm the first gentleman.
I'm Gary Moore, and this has been The More You Know.
Have a nice day. Check out all the videos, subscribe, and have a nice day.